Hey, hello, it's 420 somewhere, and today we're going to talk about Shroom nasal spray and the Banking Act yet again. So a new article came out in Politico that is talking about the Banking Act, the Safe Banking Act, which would make it available for dispensaries to work with banks finally and create a savings account and get loans from them and not have to deal in cash, which makes them very vulnerable to robberies. And in fact, the entire article starts by saying that the first 2 months of 2022 has seen 50 robberies of weed dispensaries, which is more than the entire years of 2020 and 2021. So clearly it has caught on, and people are now aware that dispensaries are places that you can go to find cash, and it's happening across the country. It talks about 2 people who have died from robberies, who have been shot during a robbery at weed dispensaries, who were just working at the dispensaries. So this is becoming more and more dangerous, and if that's the first 2 months of 2022, it's looking likely that that's going to be continuing throughout the entire year. And if that's just 50 robberies in the first 2 months, we're probably looking at somewhere around 300 for the entire year, or 300 to 400, which is insane, and that's horribly unsafe working conditions for these people. So the Safe Banking Act is more and more pressing. And as I said last week, Patty Murray, the third-ranking Democrat in the Senate, is trying to attach the Safe Banking Act to this China competition bill that has unanimous support across the board. Everybody wants it to pass. And if you attach the Safe Banking Act to it, it'll still probably pass because, again, the Safe Banking Act has a lot of support on both sides of the spectrum. The issue comes where there are Democrats who are trying to add more to the Banking Act, and then as soon as you add more to it, people are not going to want it, and now you're killing this entire China bill, or China competition bill. So there are so many frustrations with more progressive-leaning Democrats who don't see the Banking Act as going far enough and don't see the idea of small iterations of legalization being the way forward. They need it all to happen at once. And we have people like Cory Booker who said he won't allow the Safe Banking Act to pass on its own because of his larger legalization bill. And others like Schumer, of course, who probably would also not allow the Safe Banking Act to pass. So the problem would come for what they're calling in the article, they're calling it Safe Banking Act 2.0, as in like add some social equity to it, add some pardons to people who have been convicted for weed convictions in the past and things like that, making it a more expansive thing, which, by the way, even getting it attached to this China competition bill called the Competes Act, even getting it attached to that doesn't make much sense in the first place. So adding more to the Safe Banking Act and then trying to attach it is even less sensible. So there are a lot of frustrations here, and it looks like because of the progressive Democrats, we won't be seeing it attached to the China Competes Act, and that's a bummer. Hopefully maybe some other bill will come around that they can attach this to, and it will get past the Senate, because again, it's gotten past the House like 6 times now. And so more and more the Safe Banking Act has become kind of this symbol of where our stalemate in Congress has been with marijuana. The Safe Banking Act, this bipartisan thing, but it won't be able to pass because one side wants more, one side wants a little bit less. So the Safe Banking Act is in this weird in-between stage where eventually I think the Republicans will come around to it, make it their own thing, pass it on their side maybe after the midterm elections, and the Democrats will slowly lose the idea of cannabis being their issue. Next story is one that's interesting because it's about psychedelics, and it's about psychedelic therapy and new ways of doing psychedelic therapy. One company from Israel is looking to create a nasal spray of mushrooms, psilocybin mushrooms in particular, not just random mushrooms. Not only that, what's also fascinating is it's kind of a concoction of drugs in this nasal spray. So it has psilocybin, it has mostly psilocybin, I think, and then it also has MDMA, and it also has ketamine in this nasal spray. And there are quite a few benefits, I think, of having nasal spray. The article, the announcement of this thing has not really given a whole lot of detail, but the benefits would be when you inject things nasally, is that a word? When you inject things through your nose, the effect happens much more quickly. So as opposed to ingesting mushrooms where it takes about 45 minutes for you to feel effects, you would probably feel effects within the first 10 minutes with a nasal spray. This, of course, is targeted directly to people with PTSD because that's kind of our entryway into the idea of psychedelic therapy in the first place. PTSD is the one thing that the most research has been done on. So using shrooms for PTSD treatment and also for anxiety and depression and that sort of thing. But PTSD really is the prominent thing here. That's kind of where we're seeing everything start at and then expand from there. So they're supposed to be, there's a conference happening in Tel Aviv starting today and going until Thursday. So hopefully we'll get some actual pictures, actual images of this nasal spray within the next couple days. But as for now, we just know that it's out there. We know that they're starting clinical trials, I think sometime next year on this. And so we should see it popping up maybe next year, 2023, which would be cool. I think that'll be a really interesting and simplified way of using mushrooms. And that's kind of the two stories today. It's kind of a slow week. Hopefully we get some news on both of those fronts within the next couple weeks. And that's all. We'll be back on Friday with some more news. Actually, we won't be back on Friday. We'll be back at some point with some more weed news. I'll see you then.